Well, hello everybody. We welcome everybody to the Horizontal Bee channel, and thank you for coming and joining us. And I'm sure there'll be more people to show up as we go on here. So we'd start with Spanky down here, and Spanky, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing okay.
So you got any new projects coming up there, Spanky?
We've been bottling up honey.
Been bottling up some honey?
Yeah.
Hey, Lee, can you pull up a couple of those first pictures there? I want to show some stuff that maybe some of our viewers don't know about Spanky. He really does make some really cool models and some other stuff, and I appreciate him and appreciate some of the stuff that he does, and they're really cool little models. So that's one of the models that he made for Hive Life last year and donated. Came in rentals, and it was really nice. He actually waxed the little frames in there and put some propolis. So Spanky, how long does it take you to make something like that?
It takes a while because you gotta print out all those frames and put them together.
Yeah, and how long does it take you to do that? I mean, that's a lot of detail on top of that horizontal there, right? That little model.
Yeah, luckily the printer does that work for me.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I just have to make the model.
Okay. Well, Spanky, we do appreciate you being on tonight, and you got anything going on in your bee yard?
I saw them flying. I saw them flying today and yesterday.
I've seen mine out a few times. We've had some snow on the mountains here a couple nights, so it's been pretty cold. We got Joseph Rawls with us here tonight, and Joey, I do appreciate you being on. How's the bees down your way?
They didn't fly a whole lot today. I thought they would be, but they didn't fly much today. But they were pretty busy flying around yesterday. It got in the mid, kind of lower 60s today, and I thought they'd be flying, but I guess they didn't think it was warm enough.
Right.
But
now,
I hadn't been in the bee yard doing anything much.
Is there anything that blooms down there during winter for you guys, or you got anything flowering out that the bees can mess with if they need to?
I'm not seeing anything right now.
Okay.
I don't know where they get a little pollen every now and then. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Those little, I think they're called New England asters. They're still blooming.
Oh, okay. So, the reason I asked Joey to come on here, and you guys might have noticed in my little detail, was that I have a little secret. So, Joey, I'm going to let you in on a secret that I haven't never said anything to anybody or anybody knows about. But about 4 years ago, when I was looking at designing my horizontal hives, I come across your video, and the legs of that horizontal, where it's got the little piece that the hive sets on and locks in, the little block that goes underneath. I really liked how you done that, and I added that to my design. And tonight, I'd like to say I'm going to give you credit for that and apologize for never saying, "Hey, Joey, I kind of stole your idea there." So, if you're like me, when someone copies a horizontal hive, for me, it means that you liked what I did, right? So, I did steal your idea there, Joey. I hope you don't mind.
Well, that's fine, but it wasn't mine to steal because I probably got it from somebody else. Just working around maintenance and construction all my life. I just figured it would give a lot of strength to it would take the load off of that screw.
Absolutely. It's kind of setting on it, and it also allows you to screw in those other screws in really easy if you have that little block underneath it like that. So, But Joey, from what I'm looking at your YouTube now, you've been doing videos for about 7 years, and again, the first video I watched was about 4 years ago, and you had, I think some of the first videos I seen was of a drum set. So, who was those people in that video with the drum set there?
Okay, that was a Christmas. That was the little girl is my oldest granddaughter
Okay.
from my youngest son, and the boy that's his drum set. He's the oldest grandson from my oldest son. Does that make
Okay.
sense? But that was her
All
playing
right.
those drums. I went back and looked at that. There's actually one more video just a few days older than that one.
Uh-huh.
It was her singing "You Are My Sunshine." But
Aw.
YouTube decided to turn it into a short.
Oh,
I thought I
okay.
had lost it
Mhm.
part, and I found it on the short, so it's still there.
Okay.
But it was supposed to be the same month. But
So what? This is
it
not
was a
one of the
little
questions I
bitty
was gonna.
thing there.
Yeah, that's not one of the questions I was gonna ask you. But kind of what got you started? Why'd you decide to put something on YouTube about your bees?
I really don't. I really don't know. I had watched a little bit of Jeff Harchoff when I was just got started around 2015, and Randy McCaffrey, the Dirt Rooster, got to watching him, and I said, "Let me see if I can do it." Well, I found out real quick I can't do it, but it's not as easy as it looks. But
Absolutely.
I really was videoing myself for record because I can't read my own writing after it dries.
Right.
I have a hard time deciphering what it says. So I said I'd just video it, and that way I could go back and look at it. And I said, let me just give it a shot at YouTube and see what would happen.
You're right.
But that's how it got started.
That's how I got started. Yeah, it was me. I kind of watched
Yeah.
Randy. I said, that might be pretty easy to do. And then after spending 3 hours editing your first video, it was my first one was a nightmare, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But I've learned the more you have to edit on it, the less it's going to do.
Right.
And I should just say, well, I've already edited over my limit. I need to just toss it in the garbage and leave it alone. Because I think I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it to Bruce one time. Bruce's Bees.
Uh-huh.
The less I edit, the better the video does, and I don't know why. That may be a coincidence, but that seems to be the way it works.
I think you're, probably talking smoother, and it's, comes out a whole lot easier. I know my first video, and I still do it on here tonight. You'll see me. I'll go and pause too long. So it's a whole lot smoother when you have a good video. Things kind of roll the right way. So
I get tickled at myself when I'm sitting there listening to myself, getting ready to edit. I'll watch the first thing, and first thing I do is my GoPro breaks it down in probably 5-minute videos. Mm-hmm. So I go through any time that I've turned it on and off. I clip the beginning and end, and then go through and watch it again. And I get so irritated with myself watching what I'm doing. I said, "Why are you doing it like that?" And anybody want to critique me online or on YouTube, that's fine. I need all the help I can get. But time I get through watching everything, I don't hate the video, but I let my wife watch it, and she'll tell me, "Okay, it's good."
She'd want to hear it one more time when she's done with it.
Yeah, I just get tired of hearing myself talking.
Yeah. Well, talking about some of your past, let's tell us about your beekeeping history. What got you into beekeeping? What drove you in there? And you said, this is what I want to do. I want to keep some bees. What got you into beekeeping?
Well, let me back up a little bit further than I ever beekeeped. And I grew up with a family that always had bees. I had uncles that had bees. Now, probably 10 or 12 that I know that had bees. They wasn't beekeepers. Not like we know beekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
They had bees for a reason. And I can talk to one of my uncles right now. He's 93 years old, and he had bees as long as I can remember, up till maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And all they ever done was put the bees out there, let them do what they got to do, and that was in the spring, and in the fall they'd rob them. That's the only two times they were ever in hives. So I grew up with that kind of beekeeping. So, but when I really got interested, I'm 67 years old. When I really got interested, I was probably around 30. I used to drive to work with a man that kept bees as a hobby. And we would talk every day when we drove back and forth to work, we would talk about what he's doing in the bee yard. And it was more like what we do now.
Mhm.
He was telling me about ordering queens. I said, "What? You can have queens shipped to you?" You know, but that was after he already explained what it's all about with the queen. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that kind of piqued my interest. But the only reason I didn't get into it back then was my job required me to travel a lot. I stayed gone for weeks at a time, hunting
Mhm.
work, you know, and beekeeping and a couple of other things that I always wanted to do in life couldn't be done because of my career.
Right.
And finally, when I got settled down with this other job, kind of forgot about it. And then the guy that was my assistant manager. Now, if I get to talking too much, just say, hold
No,
on now.
no, you just keep
But
going. We're talking about your history. Go ahead, brother. We all have a
my
spot
assistant,
where we started in beekeeping, you know. So go ahead.
uh, me and my assistant manager that I had in the maintenance department, we always consoled in each other. We would take a break during the day and we'd go in there where it was religion or just venting or whatever it was. I walked in his office one day and we vented about work. And then he said, I am fixing to start doing beekeeping. I said, you are? He said, yeah, I'm fixing to get into it. He said, I got a class I want to go to
Right.
next week, if it's okay with you. And I said, sure, go ahead, man. I've been wanting to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
me and him both got in at the same time. And that was back in 2014, I think it was. And that's kind of when I started watching all these YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, in 2015 is when I bought my first colonies. Um, and I bought two from a guy. I'm not going to say his name, but I bought them from a guy in Raceland, Louisiana. And you know Shawee.
Yep.
You
Oh,
know
shall we?
Shawee.
Yep.
Later on, I told Shawee about it. He said, his bees are too mean. You don't want those bees. I said, well, I already got two of them. So I went and bought some from a man. He's ended up being a pretty good friend and a sort of a mentor. I've never really kept bees with him,
Right.
but I bought them from him, and he has some pretty good bees. And 2015 is where it all started,
Mm.
and it's just been kind of growing from there. And I do want to add this in there. Every year I do my splits. You know, you'd lose a couple of colonies and you'd split and make some.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 2017. And I've told Randy McCaffrey this one before that after I had about 10 or 15 colonies, something like that, I made the
Mhm.
comment to everybody that um, I think when I retire, I want to get about 100 hives. And
Okay.
the, the the guy that I bought my second pair of hive colonies from,
Mm-hmm.
he always ran 200. I always ran 200. And I don't know what kind of help he had, but that's what he ran.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing was that gave me that idea. Um, the man that used to run River Regions, where I met Jeff and Mike Berry,
Uh-huh.
uh, he always ran about 200. And anyway, I made the comment that when I retire, I think I want to do 100 colonies. And
Okay.
I had in my mind, you know, it wasn't about selling bees, it's just about getting honey.
Right.
And the first year I got up to 45 colonies,
Uh
I said, whoa, this ain't going to
huh.
this ain't happening. I about worked myself 45 colonies. I don't know how some of these guys do this,
I don't know either.
but I'm by myself. Ever since then, and that was probably 2017, ever since then, I've been trying to get back down to 20.
Mm,
I think right now I got like 35, somewhere in the mid 30s. But I've
right.
been trying to get back down to 20. It ain't happened yet. So
Well, you sell a bunch of nukes and stuff, and you won't have that problem. You could downsize pretty quickly.
I do. I actually about 3, maybe 4 years ago, I I sold a few nukes and I said, hey, this is the way to go. I can
Mm-hmm.
get rid of bees and make some money early on. So I
Yeah.
said, that's the way I'm going to go and not worry about the honey as much. But
Mm-hmm.
it still happens. You still have to deal with honey and you still have to deal with selling nukes. The hardest thing
Yeah.
about nukes is getting your customer to come get them when they're supposed to come get them.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes you end up sitting on them for a little while.
yeah, I tell you what, I have actually called people. They say, when they going to be ready? I say, middle of April. I get another phone call. When they going to be ready? Middle of April. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Oh wow.
all of a sudden, I'd call them middle of April and tell them, hey, your bees are ready. Oh, I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Beat all I ever said. I'm telling you, your nukes are going to be ready middle of April, and here you are out of town. So guess what Joey done? I went through and split everything they were supposed to pick up, and made me a
Uh-huh.
couple more nukes out of it. When
Right.
they did come get them, I had more nukes.
Yeah. Lee, can you
But
pull up
anyway,
a picture of his hives? So you're basically down about 35. Is that right? Um,
I got about 35 double deep colonies.
now
Got
is
a
this
couple of
just you?
singles and a couple of,
So you only have one bee
this is
yard? You
what
got a
I
couple of bee yards?
no this is what I call my main yard. Um, I've got some over at my mother's house. Right now there's only 2 over there. I've got room for 5 over there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've got one that I call the Taylor yard. It's kind of new. I got 4 over there.
Right.
Um, I got one I call the Reagan yard. It's a good friend of mine. I got 5 over there.
Mm-hmm.
I should be making more room over there because whatever I got over there, usually they do pretty good.
Oh, okay.
And also, I used to work at a prison, and that used to be my main yard there.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had about 20 or 30 there, but I still got room there. I don't have but a couple there now, but I got room for 10 or 12 over there.
Okay.
But that gives
So
me
talk
what,
to
5 yards?
Yeah, yeah. So tell us why you decided to do them horizontals. I see the picture of there. What got you into doing horizontals?
Uh, I've got I've got rheumatoid. I've been dealing with rheumatoid arthritis for probably 25 years now.
Hmm.
And I was thinking, um, I actually saw some of that on YouTube, and I was thinking that that might be the way to go for me. Now, at
Right.
the time, I didn't do some of the things that I do now. Uh, I'm missing some of the comments somebody's saying. If they say something, uh, I apologize if I missed it. But anyway, a friend of mine was actually at the prison. He ran Votech, and he was the carpenter instructor. And I
Uh-huh.
got with him, and he said, "Yeah, we'll come up with something." And me and him kind of designed what we got here.
Okay.
And when I first designed that one, I was actually just setting them on shipping pallets.
Mm-hmm.
In the first couple of years, that worked real good. They got like a 6-inch strip going down the middle. It's screened all the way down,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like they did pretty good with that. Uh, the first lids I made just closed right up on them. I didn't have any inner covers, and I had to deal with heat.
Right.
So we modified, and I put little 5-inch inner covers in there to cover them up, and I shimmed the covers that's on here now, like a 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch, where it's actually off the inner cover. So when that sun hits that lid, it can just kind of, the heat can bleed out.
Yeah, I can get away from it.
And anyway, me and him designed them. And when I moved it over to this yard now, it was in my yard at my place of work. There you go. But when I put it on legs, I learned the first couple of years I started having other problems with them getting too cold in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking the combination of that screen bottom and those legs with it off the ground,
Mm-hmm.
they wasn't able to maintain their heat as much as they needed to.
Okay.
So I really want to go back and modify them and close the bottoms up on all of them
Mm-hmm.
and see how that works.
Yeah,
Because
this year's
What's
first
that?
year I've tried a screen bottom board on my hives, and it did fairly good. But mine's a little different because it's the screen bottom's kind of corralled in, and there's a board that slides in, so there's not a lot of airflow that can get in, or if you got a lot of crosswind, it's not driving into that hive, making it really, really cold. So that has worked really good for me this year. I'm not a big screen bottom board fan, but it worked very good this year. No moisture inside the hive. It did really good.
Yeah.
So
Me and Jeff Hartnoff has been back and forth a lot about when he goes into some of these houses.
uh-huh.
They're actually inside. Say, let's just say, for instance, some that might be in between, like in a 2-story house. They do real well in there, and they have a little entrance about big as my little finger.
Yep.
But they're also in between 2 floors that are conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say where, just because they're closed up in there, they're okay, or what it might be. I don't know. But
Yeah, and usually in that chamber there, it's a long chamber, so there's a lot of area in there for moisture and stuff to kind of go away. That's a little bit different also.
Yeah, when they're in those joists, that room, those joists may run 20 feet out through there.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to get the logic to it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this this big swarm that you had. I think Lee's got a picture of it. He'll pull it up here for us. But was this the biggest swarm you've ever had to come out of this horizontal hive, or was it just something normal that you've seen?
That
in the
one
past?
actually, it's probably looks a lot bigger than it really is.
Okay.
It was a pretty good size swarm. But what you had was what you're seeing there, just to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the swarm come back.
Okay.
And also the bees that are staying there. But it was a fairly decent swarm. I think it was about 5 frames of bees, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got them captured. But the biggest swarm that I had, that was a fun one. I really had a good time with that one.
Okay. Your video was really good on it.
Let's see. Back in, and I didn't get the video of this one, probably back in 2017 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In a long hive, I had walked out there and was getting ready to look in one of my hives, and I saw a swarm happening, and I could tell it was coming out of one of my long hives, and it was actually sitting on the pallet.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh my goodness!" that was one of my strongest colonies that year. And I said,
Right.
I'm fixing to lose some bees. And I walked up there to it, and my wife and my grandson was with me. And I told them, run back, get the golf cart, get a box,
Yep.
and bring my suit. Just grab everything and come back. And I'm standing there watching it, and the queen comes out and she lands on the ground.
Mm.
She can't fly. And I actually grabbed her, and I was holding her when they come back with my toolbox,
Right.
put her in a clip, and I was getting ready to put her in a box and just set it down there somewhere. And before I could get the box set up, they all came right back to that hive.
Mm.
And I said, man, I'd have loved the video of that. And I've been waiting all these years and finally got to do it on this one.
Right.
Pretty
Well,
much.
it definitely looked like
I caught the queen.
Yeah, definitely looked like a very nice swarm. I mean, now let me ask you a question. I hear people say this all the time, and they say that horizontal hives swarm more than vertical hives. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I've only got 5 horizontal hives,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got the other 30 plus is regular Langstras, and they all swarm. If you don't deal with them, they all swarm. I
There
don't
you
care
go.
if you train them; they're going to swarm.
That's right. I think a lot of
That's
it's
all I
about the
got to say. I
management.
mean,
Yeah. It's all about how you manage your bees,
yeah,
right?
it
It's
is.
how you get in there and work them. Now, horizontal works just a little bit different than a vertical because, you know, you got to move the divider board or give them more space or
Yeah,
add some frames into where the brood nest is at to push them out. So that keeps them from swarming as bad. So the management's just a little bit different, but you hit the nail on the head. Every hive will swarm. It don't matter what kind of hive the bees are in.
they will. And I,
Yep.
this year, the reason I got that, I think this year I kind of, for whatever reason, kind of neglected my long hives. I
Mm-hmm.
was focused on other things and neglected them, and I think that's why they swarmed on me.
Right.
But I've noticed on these long hives, I have actually tried to stretch that brood nest out
Uh-huh.
because in my training back when I first started, everybody says, "Well, you need 2 deep boxes,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just thinking, well, if they need all that room for brood, I mean, good
Uh-huh.
gracious,
Yeah.
I'm gonna build me. If they need that much room, I'm going to build a 30 frame hive
Mm-hmm.
in the long hive.
Right.
And the first one I set up when they were growing,
Yeah.
when they got the first, and this happens on almost every one of the long hives that I have. The
Mm-hmm.
first frame, my interest, you notice mine's on the end
Mm-hmm.
instead of the side of the box.
Right.
The end. The first frame is usually food, whether it be pollen and honey, or every now and then the inside of the first frame may have a little bit of brood, but it's mostly pollen.
Yep.
But it's a food. I can always call it a food frame. The second frame to the 11th frame is brood.
Right.
You have your little honey and your little, your milk brood, your little honey band and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually tried to stretch the brood nest out where like frame 12 and I'd throw another frame in there.
Yep.
And in a week when I come back, frame 11 will be brood on one side, honey on the other.
Right.
And then I would throw another one in there and come back in another week. And that frame 11 would be brood on one side, honey on the other. So that tells me right there, you only get about 10 frames of brood and they got to go back and start over.
Yeah.
So
And that's what I've
everything.
seen. I mean, sometimes I can push a hive out to about 15 frames of brood, but they're not full frames like a regular deep frame is. It's completely all the way around. You have little circles going all the way across through there. And it gets to a point where,
Yeah.
They just start putting honey in the next section over. They're not going to keep putting brood in there. So when you have a 30 frame box, people want to say, I want to get it completely full. Well, you might get it completely full when the flow's coming in, but you're not going to get it, when there's a dearth or something. That hive's going to shrink back down to those 15 frames or 12 frames or whatever you got in there.
Yeah.
So
Well, the way I practice, in May, in probably late May, middle of May,
Mm-hmm.
when I start getting capped honey, I pull it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a hobbyist, and
Yep.
so if I find enough cap frames in my bee yard, I come over here and spin it out and put
Yeah.
it back. I'll actually mark that frame where it came from and put it right back in that hive.
Yeah.
So I have, excuse me, I have never let any of my long hives ever get over 25 frames.
Uh-huh.
And the reason they hadn't is because I keep pulling honey out, spinning out, and putting empty frames back in.
And I think
But
that's a really good way to do
and
it, because when you spin it out, you have some residue left over, you put it back in, they clean that back up, and they dump it right back in there again.
yeah, but I have fun with the horizontal hives. I just get so busy sometimes with the other things in the bee yard
Yeah.
that I kind of let them slide, let them kind of be on their own. But I really need to focus on them a little more, and I think they would be more prosperous for me.
I tend
But
to I
they're
tend to
easy to
water mine
work
a
once you
lot when
set
I'm
them
building
up.
my boxes up. I really steal from those horizontals because it's easy to get in, get a honey frame or a brood frame, and I keep getting them shrunk down. So it's really easy to do that. See, Lisa said something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa, I can't wait to see you get some bees in there too. I believe you're going to be happy with that long lane that you got from us. So I do appreciate you purchasing that hive. At least you've been a good friend for a long time, and we do appreciate you. So,
Hey, can before I forget about it, can Lee put that picture back up again he just had up there?
yeah. Well, that's on one of your videos. I think it's when you had
Yeah.
a hive that was honey bound, right? No, that's a different one there, I think.
Yeah. Could be. That's a good one. If you notice my inner covers,
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to change those. I thought this was a good idea when I first did it.
Yeah.
All that is 12-inch shelving pine ripped
Mm-hmm.
in half. So that's about a 5.5-inch inner cover board.
Yeah.
And if you notice, the first one's solid, and then the second one's got the hole in it,
Yeah.
and it's got a piece of screen under the bottom for ventilation, and
Mm-hmm.
every other one is ventilated. They plug them up, so that's just waste of time drilling those holes.
Yeah.
And
I tell people. I tell people that they'll clog them up or they'll fill them up, but still people want that ventilation on the top.
But that inner cover right there, because it's so small, it makes do more propolis. They had to build more propolis all around that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go back to either a nuke box size inner cover.
Yeah.
Which is what? I don't even know what it is. 8 inches maybe?
Yeah. About 8 inches.
10 inches. Or either just a full inner cover. Right. One or the other.
Yeah, I find out that when I get in there, instead of taking out little bitty pieces at a time, I'll end up taking a big section out. That's what I learned when I first started with my horizontal. That's why I just went with inner covers, because that's about the size of the area I'm going to be working in.
Yeah, it's easy. One of the theories I had when I work it, and it still works good, is when you take that out, you just kind of lay it over on the next one, and you're only exposing about 4 at a time.
Right.
And it kind of keeps them calm down, but it still kind of creates work. And
yeah.
I'm kind of like Jim Harchoff now. I'm a lazy beekeeper, so when I have to start doing the extra thing, I'm going to change it. So I think I might go back to regular inner covers on that thing. I can always just pick it up and slide it.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing about
it so much.
Yeah, that's the thing about a horizontal hive. You can really, find out what works, what doesn't work for you, and what might work for Rick at his house might not work for Joey at his place. I mean, they can be totally two different ways of keeping bees in those locations. So playing with that hive and figuring out what do your bees want, I think is really important. And where I started keeping bees in my horizontals when I first started is nowhere near where I'm at now. And I continue to learn about horizontals, what works good, what doesn't work good. And, you know, I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied with where they're at. I'll just keep changing them to meet what I think is right, you know, what works best.
What I do know with those, and I don't know what you do, but that particular hive there, whatever comb they have for their honey out through the year, and when I robbed it and put dried empty combs back in there, I don't have to store theirs with all these other Langstroth boxes that I got in the shed.
Yep.
They stay in the colony. They stay in the box.
Yep. It makes
they
it so
maintain
easy.
them. I don't have to maintain them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lamb. The horizontals is easier for anybody that's older. I started because I had a bad back. It was really killed me for about 2 years. And, you know, the horizontal made a lot of sense when I first started. And I've been with it ever since. I won't say I don't have a vertical hives. I do. I've got quite a few vertical hives. But I really love my horizontal hives. They're just so easy to work in. And it makes it easy on me. And when I get older, you know, like maybe, 70 or 80, I know that's the hive I'll have all the time. I'm not going to be going back to vertical hives at that point. So Joey, talk to me a little bit about, you had a hive. You've had several videos. You had one, it was a long hive looked weak, and then you had another hive that was a horizontal hive that was honey bound. Can you talk about those two hives that you had that were, one was honey bound and one looked really weak, and what you did with both of those hives?
I'm gonna have to think about it a minute. I think on the honeybound one, I pulled those frames out, if I remember right. I just pulled them out and spun the honey out and gave them back to them.
Right.
Or either pulled that out and gave it to somebody that needed it and put an empty frame back in there. That's what I just can't remember. But that's what I would have done. I'd either spun it out and put it back, or if I had an empty comb, I'd have just took it and gave it to somebody else and put an empty one in there.
Right.
If you get them honey bound, that's as bad for them as anything.
It is 100%. They ain't got nowhere to put honey, and they're going to try to swarm out on you. So you're losing bees, and you're going to lose that strong colony that's making you honey.
And if it's late in the season,
yeah, you're right, Spank. If it's late season, then you're hurting because that hive swarmed out. It's gotten weak. So
on the weak one, I may have. I don't even know if I did a follow-up video on that one. Did I? Looking weak. I think I may have just gave them some help.
Okay. So do you know what made that hive go weak on you?
I really don't. I just don't know if it was. Let me say this. I've had a couple, and I noticed this past year I had a regular Langstroth in my main yard and a regular Langstroth in my Reagan yard, I call it. Just didn't seem to be up with all the rest of them. They wasn't power. And I said, I don't know what's wrong with them, and it may be the genetics of that bee, because when I look at a queen, I don't know what she is. I don't know how other people know. I don't know the difference between an Italian, a Russian. I don't know. I don't know how to figure them out. But out of the 5 over in the Reagan yard, that one was weak, and everybody else was good and strong.
Right.
And over here in my main yard, I had everybody was on pretty much on the same level, but I had this one that just couldn't get going. And all of a sudden, at a certain time of the year, it's like they caught up and passed them up. Now I don't know. I don't know if they really superseded or that's just the genetic of that bee.
Right.
But both of those, I got as much honey off of them as I did anything else.
Right.
Of course, this was a bad year. I didn't get a lot of honey out of a lot of them, but
Right. I think Philip Morris had a question about the super horizontal hive that I gave to Randy's dad. Philip, that hive works very good. The first year that I used that design, that box filled 32 frames. It ended up having a deep in the middle of it, and I had taken that deep off, and I put a medium on there. They had started to fill that medium up, so that hive worked extremely good for that year. Now, since that year, I haven't had as much luck with that hive. They've swarmed on me a couple times. I had put some hog halves in the center position, and they started drawing it out, and again they swarmed out. So the management on that hive is a little bit different because you can add that extra super in the middle. But it's my favorite hive. It's so easy to get in and use. You can put a top feeder in there. Sugar during winter, you just flip that top up and put it back down. You're not in the bees at all. So it's one of my favorite designs that I've ever created. And that design I did not steal off of Joey here. I come up with that idea myself.
I can't build nothing that fancy. I know Mr. Pat loves it.
He does.
Mr. Pat loves it.
Yeah, that's his favorite hive. And, me and Pat's met several times, and he reminds me of my grandfather. Every time I meet him and talk to him, he's just really nice to talk to. Randy's a great guy. You get to meet him, and, but his dad is awesome. Randy's good, but his dad is awesome. No, they're both great guys, but Pat, he just touches my heart when you talk to him. There, see, Lee brought that up there. He's just a great overall guy. He's so easy to talk to. The problem I have with him is when I talk to him, he starts to cry. It starts making me cry because he's so grateful for the hive that we give him. And, good people like that, you try to treat really good. And again, he just reminds me of my grandfather. Love him to death. Hey, Swarmstead, how you doing tonight?
Pre-COVID, I used to go to, we had the River Regions where I met Mike and Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first clubs I joined. And then our county or parish, we call them parishes in Louisiana, we started a club here, and I was a member there. Then I started going to one in Pine Belt, Mississippi, and that's where I first met Mr. Pat. I'd seen him on videos, but I first met him there, and he used to go faithfully to that meeting when his health was better. And he didn't ever say a whole lot, but when he did, it was a truckload. You know what I mean? He had a lot of knowledge.
Yes, he
does. And I wish I could work in the bee yard with him some, because that man's got knowledge.
He does have a lot of knowledge, and I thought Randy got his beekeeping from his dad, but it's a little bit the other way around. I think it was actually Randy's brother that actually started the beekeeping in the family. Yeah, Tommy.
It was Tommy. Tommy used to go to that club too.
Yeah.
That was the first place I'd met Tommy. And what I liked about Tommy was when a speaker would come in, Tommy would ask questions as if he didn't know, but he knew the answer already. But he asked because he knew somebody there needed to know that answer.
Right.
That's what I liked about Tommy.
Yeah.
He would ask the question as if he needed to know, but he knew Joey needed to hear that answer, or somebody,
Right.
I miss those days. That was a good club meeting back in the days.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about some more builds, Joseph. I see you like to catch a lot of swarms. I love catching swarms. I think it's like fishing. I eat it up. Now, do you make your own swarm boxes? Because I think this is a good time of year to build a swarm trap. You can build it about out of anything. Do you build all your swarm traps?
I did. I've got 12 like that, and I built them all. And every one of them, you'll notice if you see a picture of different ones, they look different because see that bottom?
Yeah.
That's scrap wood. Any other
Yeah.
time we would throw that away, but Joey used it. So tops and the bottoms were mostly built out of scrap wood. And sometimes even the sides of these boxes were built out of that. You might see the grain going the wrong way, but I used it anyway.
Right. And that's
But
what
that,
I do. I get some boxes from work and I bring them in and I just have to put one side on it, put a hole and a couple of places to hang my frames inside. It's done. And I can just hang them up in the trees. So,
yeah. But what I did here, this box, have you ever saw the decoats pattern on new boxes, building it with plywood?
uh-uh.
If you if you do a search online for decoat, I think it's COTE. Decoats. I done forgot. Decoats, COTES, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a 5-frame nuke that you can build out of one sheet of plywood. And I had built several of them over the years. And I said, what I'm going to do instead of building it just, I think it's 10.5 inches deep or 10 1/4, something like that.
Uh-huh.
I built it twice as deep. And my theory was if it didn't work for a swarm trap, I could
Mm-hmm.
cut it in half and still use it for nuke boxes. And
Absolutely.
they work real good for me. I like them.
How
And I
many
got
swarms
that
do you
cleats.
catch in a season?
Well, usually at least 12 to 15, and I try to take them down. I don't want to get a whole lot of them. I usually just catch the first part of swarm season,
Yeah.
and I start taking them down. I might leave one or two up because you can use a lot of equipment up in a hurry with swarms.
Yeah, you can, especially brood
Somebody asked
comb.
something. Philip was asking where in Louisiana
Yeah,
are
you're
you?
located. Yeah.
If you do a search for Franklinton, Louisiana, I'm 7 miles from Franklinton, Louisiana, west of Franklinton. Or you can look for Pine, Louisiana, on the map, and you'll find me there. I don't know, Franklinton Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Bowling Green?
What's the biggest swarm you've caught, Joey, while he's trying to answer you?
Let's see.
In one of your swarm traps.
I think it might be. I forgot what year it was. I got a video on it. I asked the question, "Can you see the face?"
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my biggest videos as far as swarms are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look it up and see when it comes. But that's probably one of the biggest that I caught in my swarm boxes.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty big colony. Now I have caught a couple of more pretty big. I mean, they were so big in like 4 days. I got 5 frames in there, and the way I put it, I do one plastic foundation, clean foundation up against a wall. Then the second frame is a old brood comb,
Yep.
and then the other 3 is empty. The
Yep.
foundationless. They're empty frames, and that one did pretty good. It was as far as the amount of bees, it was a lot of bees, but I
Mm-hmm.
had one more that was so big that I think the 4th day after they moved in,
Uh-huh.
I took it down and I had to cut comb off the bottom of 4 of the frames and framed
Mm-hmm.
them in other frames. When I got through transferring, I had about 8 frames of comb.
Mm.
That's probably the biggest one. I had to go back and try to find that one, but one of the strongest ones. One of the strongest ones. It might have been almost as big in 2016. It was the first video I posted in 2016. First Swarm of 2016 is what it was titled, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't look like I cut it out of a magnolia tree behind my mother's house. I'm carrying it around, and it don't look that big. And I shook them in the box, started looking bigger once they covered that box.
Right.
But we about 5 or 6 days after I put them in that box, we were going on a little trip. That's it.
Oh, I see it right there. Yeah.
See it don't look that big to me, but there's more bees there than you think.
Well, that looks pretty big. Them leaves are big leaves on them.
Them are big leaves, yeah. He's right.
Yeah. But in less than a week, I went back. Me and my wife went and looked at it. I wish I'd have videoed it. I had to put a second box on that colony.
You look like a hunter bringing in his catch.
Yeah.
She already had it laid up like 5 frames, and all this was plastic foundation. There wasn't any comb in there.
Oh,
she had it already laid up. She was laying where they had just started, had like one little, like a 16th of wax drew out. She had an egg in the middle of it.
Oh my goodness.
That same year, I pulled 5 gallons of honey off that colony.
Wow, that's amazing. For a swarm, that is absolutely amazing.
That was my first swarm that I caught that year.
Oh.
That was pretty exciting. It's the first one I got in the video in my whole life. But, I was scared to video before that.
Well,
that was fun, though. It was me and my mama.
Oh.
And here I am focused. I got my suit on. I probably didn't need it, but I got the suit on. And she's right behind me holding my iPhone, and she don't know nothing about iPhones. And she's asking me questions. I'm going, huh? That's why I put in there. I translated. I said, huh? Nuh-uh. Like that. And I translated it to ma'am, no ma'am, in text. It was fun, though. My mama really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah. Swarm catching is so much fun. I mean, every beekeeper is going to get a chance at it, and it's the most exciting. The first one's so hectic, and but it's just so much fun. I enjoy it. I'm sure everybody on here, you guys enjoy catching swarms, or you will enjoy catching swarms, because it's going to happen to you sooner or later. So it's an amazing process with the bees. It's absolutely amazing.
I see Philip said it was Bowling Green, Franklin Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where some of my grandkids go to Bowling Green. They went 2 or 3 rounds in the playoffs this year in football.
Wow.
They had a good team this year. But getting back to swarms, it's fun if you by yourself, and it's more fun when you got an audience.
Oh, 100%.
Especially when it's somebody that's never seen it before. You just see it in their actions. That's just kind of like unreal to them. Everybody starts calling you the bee whisperer.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, you're getting stung in the eye and everything else.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun watching them walk in the box. I mean, people think you're the best beekeeper there has ever been when they see that stuff. You shake them in, they're going in the box. You're like, this is just absolutely amazing. So it's great having an audience at 100%.
Yeah. You ain't gonna put your suit on? I have so many of them ask me that. You ain't gonna put your suit on? It don't take me but a minute to learn where I need my suit on or not.
That's right. If they get after you, you're gonna get your suit on. So
yeah.
Well, Joey, if you don't mind staying on just a little bit, I'm going to open it up for other people to get on here. I've got some little notes down here on the bottom to go through real quick. And if anybody wants to come on here in just a second, I'm sure Lee will drop the link in there, and we can have a good conversation with Joey some more. He's a great gentleman, and I do appreciate him coming on tonight. He's been awesome. And if you want to come in and do a live chat with us, come on in. It's something we thought we'd go ahead and try, and just let everybody ask questions or let us know what's going on in your bee yard or what you're building or talk about your horizontal hives. We'll just have a very good conversation. But I want to talk a little bit about the Bee Expo coming up. I think Joey's going to be there with us. So with the Bee Expo, we are going to donate this little one frame observation hive. Bryan Street Farm or Flower Street Farms and us are donating that to bid on while we are at the Bee Expo. So that'll be there. You can bid on that. I actually built this myself. He sent me some designs, and I built one for him, and we decided to donate one to the expo. So that's him and me are donating that to the expo. So if you guys don't mind, come and bid on it. So we have some exciting new horizontal hives that people haven't seen before coming to the Bee Expo. One of them we actually did. Both hives are made from black locust. So these hives will last forever. These are hives you can absolutely, use for generations because it's made from black locust. That stuff's going to last forever. One of them I'll tell you about. We did an epoxy pour on it. It turned out beautiful. So come by and see us at the Bee Expo. I love talking to people. Joey knows that. He come by and we talked to him last year. So I've got more people. So I want to be able to talk to more people and socialize with more people. So please come by if you're going to be there and talk to us. Even if there's somebody there talking to me, just come up and, I'll make time to be able to talk to everybody. I love talking to people. So, and then also we're going to be eating at, wish my wife was here so my Spanish wouldn't be so bad, but La Cruz Las, I think it is. Can you pull that up, Lee? We're going to be eating there Wednesday, the 3rd. There we go. At 7:00. And I'm inviting everybody to come out and be with us and eat there Wednesday at 7:00. Now, I'm going to try to get a few people from the Bee Expo to come out and be with us, but definitely my group will be there. I think Joey said if he can make it there, he's going to try to be there. I know Lee's definitely going to be there with us. And I think Sawmill Charlie's talking about being there. Tom said he would probably be there, Mac. He said he'd probably try to come out and be with us. So there'll be a lot of the beekeepers there. It's right next to the expo. Pretty easy to find. Everybody likes Mexican food. So please come out and be with us there. And we have a special speaker next week. I've asked Randy McCaffrey actually to come on December the 28th. He's going to be coming on. And I wanted to wait till then, and we're going to do a drawing. I'm going to buy somebody's food besides Lee's. I'm going to buy somebody else's food at the Bee Expo. So we're going to do a spin, and yeah, Joey's like, yeah, hey, me, but we're going to do a spin, and we're going to get dinner for 2 to come and join us. If you guys will come and join us next week, we'll do that spin for that free dinner, and you get to be with all of us. Darren, please come on out and be with us if you get a chance. Absolutely. And also we have an upcoming event in Missouri, if Lee can pull that up, on February the 10th. We've been asked to show our hives there for this expo. Greg Burns is going to be there. There's going to be Nathan from Duck River going to be there. Of course, Jeff is going to be there. Jeff Horseshaw. I can't get his last name. Say it for us, Joey.
Horseshaw.
Yeah, thank you. I can't get that last name.
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed.
He-
I mean, you can't beat Mr. Ed, right? He's going to be there. We're going to be showing some of our hives there also. So if you don't get to come to the Bee Expo and you're in Missouri, come out and be at that workshop. Tom and Melissa Stump, they invited us to come and be with them there at that one. And then our next event that we will be at will be the Davy Crockett in Tennessee, March the 2nd, the 1st and 2nd at Toluca University. We'll be there showing our hives at that location. And then at the Davy Crockett again in August, the 9th and the 10th. We'll be there showing our hives, and Cayman Reynolds will be there. So if you're down next to Sevierville, that's where the first one is located, down where the Hive Life Conference was last year. It's right around that area. So come out and support the Davy Crockett meeting. And then the next one will be out in Cooksville, and Cayman Reynolds will be speaking there, and we'll be showing our hives there also. So if you get a chance to come out and be with us, I'd appreciate it. So if Lee, if you'll put that link up, anybody wants to come in and talk to Joey a little bit more, and maybe he'll tell us some of these good times with him and Mike Berry and Mr. Ed, and tell us some stories about their past together.
When is that Davy Crockett? When is that Davy Crockett one?
The Davy Crockett one's in Cooksville. No, the other one's at Toluca University, March the 1st and 2nd. It's just above Sevierville. And then the second one, the Davy Crockett, is August the 9th and the 10th. It's in Greenville, and the speaker will be Cayman Reynolds there. So anybody gets a chance, come up and be with us. Yeah, I think Lee said he'd come out and be with us at the restaurant. He's going to be with my group eating with us. So I told him if he doesn't come and eat with us and let me pay for his food, then his wife has to give me that cute little dog that he's got, because that is probably the prettiest Dachshund I have ever seen. And I love Dachshund dogs. And so when we're down with Lee, I'm always trying to steal his dog from him. So Joe, you got any stories about you and Mr. Ed, or you and Mike Berry's? Maybe some stories where you got stung up pretty bad, or got into more than you could chew off on a cutout?
I have never got to do a cutout with Mr. Ed. I've done them with Mike, but let me just tell you this. When I first started beekeeping, I watched some of Mr. Ed's videos. And when I started going to the river regions, beekeeping, Mr. Julian Lane used to have that. He was kind of like a mentor to anybody that went to his meetings. And I think the second meeting I went to, I heard this voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that voice sounds familiar. And I started looking back, and it was Mr. Ed. I couldn't believe I was in the same building with Mr. Ed. But I saw him sitting back there. Usually I was on the back row, but at this time I was kind of like, that place, look, that meeting was so big that if you didn't get there an hour ahead of time, you were standing up somewhere.
Wow.
That's how many people always came to do it. Anyway, I actually met Jeff not long after that. Our convention was always usually like December, I think, or something like that. Wasn't long after that, that's where I really got to meet Mr. Ed and got to talking to him and started going to the meetings real regular. But I sit on the back row with him. Wreck-It Ralph was sitting to my left. Mr. Ed would be sitting the next one over, and then Mike Berry would be over here to my right. There's the dog.
Uh-huh. Ain't that the cutest dog ever?
Yep. after several years, a few years, that Mr. Julian had passed on, and the family had asked Mr. Ed to keep it going. So Mr. Ed would get up there and do the talking and answering questions and asking other people questions. And when he'd get to talking, where he was wrong or right, me and Mike and Wreck-It Ralph would go, eh. You know, we would hackle him. He said something wrong. We was always messing with him, you know. But that's how I ended up meeting Mr. Ed, Wreck-It Ralph, and Mike Berry was right there going to them meetings. And I also met Charlie there.
Oh, really?
I got to know Charlie a little more after that and everything. Me and Charlie used to call me, and he built a couple of long hives, and he'd call me. He said, "I hope I'm not bothering you." I said, "You ain't bothering me." You know, we talking bees.
But
We always had good times at those meetings and everything. Now, I said all that to answer your question, and I don't forgot what your question was.
I just told you. Tell me some stories about you guys.
But I have never had the chance to do a removal with Mr. Ed. He really don't call me, and some of y'all can probably call him and tell him I said that. He never calls me with one. I don't know why that is. Somebody's saying something about me over there. But yeah, I got to do one with Mike, and
Hey, Bryce,
had with that one.
Hey, Jerry.
What's going on?
Not much. I just thought I'd say hi to you guys. I won't make it down to the expo, but I'm sure you guys are going to have a good time.
Yeah, we really hope to. How's your bees doing, Bryce? Where are you located at?
Got quite a delay in this, but I'm in central New Hampshire.
Cold where he's at.
Cold.
Yeah, it stays cold up there all the time, don't it?
26 degrees.
We check and see. We're probably close to that temperature up here right now.
The ground is solid till spring now.
Oh, it's 34 here at the house. Spanky, what's the temperature at your location now? Do you know?
32.
32. You're colder than we are. We're on the mountain. That's crazy. Bryce, how many hives do you have?
11.
11. How long have you been beekeeping for?
This is my 4th season.
Okay. Well, you're just now learning what not to do, right?
I learned about swarms this year. Well, I'm going to build bigger hives.
Oh. Joey, how many?
Talking about the weather, it's 50. It's 52 degrees here.
Oh, 52.
I have a friend in Wilmington, and he said it was in the 70s today.
Oh, man. Yeah, Lee, what's the temperature where you're at right now? I bet he's like right around that same temperature. He's for the daytime.
Let me pull it up here. 59.
Yes.
59. You don't have to hide in the back, Lee. You can come on out here now.
I'm just used to doing everything here in the background.
Well, I'm going to go off into the background.
All right, stick around. You can be with us, man.
Yeah, hang in here.
Yeah, hang in here. Anybody else wants to come on for, another 15 minutes, we'll stay on and talk a little bit more. Joey.
All right, I'll hang in.
All right, hang in there with us. Joey, tell us a little bit about Mike Berry. Now, I got to meet him some at the at the Hive Life conference last year and got to talk to him some. He just really sounds like a down to earth person.
He is. They don't come any better.
Right.
Like I said, the first time I met him was at that River Regions meeting, and we got where we would always talk to each other. And I've never worked with him in his bee yard, and he's never worked with me in mine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like we have because we talk to each other so much, you know. And y'all know Mike never does how-tos, but I learned a lot of how. I learned a lot of how to do stuff with Mike.
I'm hearing a lot of voices.
But he's so down to earth. I don't know what that is. But Mike is real good people. I kind of wish he was in here too.
Yeah, I'd really like to spend some time with Mike. He's a lot like Randy, just really easy to talk to, and when you get to meet him, his personality, he's so easy to talk to. Makes you feel welcome, doesn't make you think that you're a small person, that you're just on his same level. Great conversation. And like I said, I enjoyed talking to him at the Hive Life conference, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at the Bee Expo also.
Yeah, Mike's not intimidating like Joey is.
Yeah.
Mike was on somebody's.
One of us has got to be the negative. You can't have two positives.
Yeah, makes everything link up better.
Mike was on somebody's live, and my question was, "What's it like to hang out with me again, Joey?" And he goes, "Philip, I don't know who that is." And he thought for a second. He goes, "Oh yeah,
I was watching that. He didn't catch it. I'm thinking, Mike, what's the matter with you?
It took him a little while. Mike's a little slow, but he caught on.
Look at there.
Hey, Tim. I think you're coming on, brother.
Hey, we had to come in just to at least say hello for a minute.
He's the co-star. Jasper's the star.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of him.
There you go.
Yeah.
He must be watching TV.
Yeah.
He keeping Hannah's seat warm.
Yeah.
This is not my night to be on. What are you doing?
That's it. Hey. You sorry, Joe?
He's gonna get his days on me.
Yes, sir, he is. But we come in a little late. We was in the big city for a while, but how's everybody this evening?
Wonderful.
Doing pretty good tonight,
Oh,
Tim.
good, I am.
Where's Miss Hannah at tonight? Is she hiding in one of the other rooms?
Well, yeah, sir, to be honest. She said, tell everybody I said hello, but I'm not going to jump on this evening. So I said, yeah,
Right.
all right, I'll pass it along for you. She may come pop by or something, but like I said, we ain't long got home.
Right. Well, I got something for you for the Hive Life, or the Hive Life, for the Bee Expo. I made you something. Maybe you might use it if you want to. If you don't, then you can use it for firewood. But we do have you something that I was thinking about you when I was making something else, and I said, I'm gonna make something for Tim and Hannah. That really good people, good Christian people. We love your show, love watching your show. So it's not going to be completely done, so you're going to have some work to do. But I think you'll like where it's at.
I got you. Well, just holler at us. We ain't gonna make it to the expo this year, but just holler at us and we'll make arrangements. But
Okay.
Ricky, we appreciate the thought. Thank you much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll get it to you one way or the other. I'll find a way to get it there to you. But I was thinking about you the other day, and it didn't take me but a few minutes to cut it with something else I was cutting. So I just threw it together, and we'll get it to you though.
Well, hey, once again, thank y'all very much. But
yeah,
Joey come in a little late, like I say, but tell me real quick how you got started. That's one of the things we've been wondering.
Oh man, I should have told the truth. Now I can remember what I said.
Now he's in trouble because he's already been recorded once about what he said. So
I tell you what, Joey, don't worry about it. We'll just go back and we'll watch what you said.
no, Joey, tell him a little bit because you had a really good story about you, how you got into beekeeping. So go ahead and tell us again about your beekeeping.
Yeah. Well, just to make the long part short, I had grew up around people that had bees all my life. I had just about every uncle I had gardens. They had bees, but they wasn't beekeepers. They had bees. They put them there in the spring, and they didn't look at them again until fall when they robbed them. So to me, that wasn't beekeepers. And fast forward to later in life, I used to ride back and forth to work with a man, and he was a hobby beekeeper, and he was more like what we are now. And he got to telling me how you do things in the colony and the hives and what you look for. And he started talking about the queen. He said you can even buy queens from different places and they ship them to you. And that was just amazing to me. I had never heard of any. All the beehives I'd been around all my life, I'd never heard anything like that. And he kind of really the one that got me interested in what's going on in a beehive. But working and traveling in my younger adult life, I never was able to just do something like that. And finally, back in 2015, one of my coworkers told me that he was going to start keeping bees and he wanted to take off and go to a meeting. And I told him I wanted to do it too. So both of us kind of took off with the beekeeping, and it just kind of turned into where we at now, kind of grew into it. But that's kind of the short version of what I told a while ago.
Is he still
What's that?
Is he still beekeeping, Joey? Is your friend still
He was he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, but he kept bees up till then.
That's good.
But I mean, I learned a lot just riding in the car with him, and he would talking to me. He'd kind of like listening to some of y'all talking about what you're doing and how it's done, and it felt like I knew a lot. It was like being coached, but I wasn't on the field. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
sir.
a lot of times when I would learn things in the bee yard, I would think of him and what he said. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes how beekeeping would be without YouTube. I mean, YouTube's taught me everything I know. I've read a couple of books, but
it's probably taught me as much as YouTube has taught me a lot, and it's also taught me a lot of what not to do.
Yeah. Well, my first year, everything somebody else had, if they had hive beetles, I've got a bunch of them hive beetle barns. I need to send them to you, Tim, because I don't think I'll ever use them. I got a whole stack of them. And
send them on. We'll put them to you.
Somebody get hive beetles, and I'd see one, and I think I was about to be overrun with them. But
I think
they had mites. I had mites. Whatever I saw on YouTube, I treat for.
I've only seen one hive beetle in my hives ever.
Wow. I've seen more than that, but I've not seen what
they're not really prevalent up here.
Well, if anybody's looking for some for souvenirs, we'll sell them some.
You should make bracelets. You should make bracelets and necklaces out of those things.
There's a beekeeper that I watch. I've been watching him for years too, probably as long as I've had bees. And I remember at one time, he's in Ohio. I remember one time he made the statement that they don't have to deal with hive beetles up there, but they do now.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Last several
imagine
years.
soon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Steve,
I
you
will
asked,
say,
about how far out we are with orders. We're pushed out till March already. So if you want to jump in line before we go to the Bee Expo, I suggest it. We are bringing. I think I have on my list to bring about 40 hives to the bee conference.
Wow.
We sold right at 30, 31, 32 hives last year at the bee conference. With it being a lot bigger, we thought we'd have a few extras. But we're still behind getting Christmas orders to people. So that number could drop before we go to the Bee Expo. But if you want to shoot me a email or send me a message or something, I'll be glad to talk to you and see if we can get you something together for you.
So
Ricky,
Ricky,
all yours painted?
It's up to the customer. If they don't want them painted, we don't. It's just easy for us to put all the fixtures on for everybody, so they don't have to take them back off and repaint them. So we paint all of them white unless they ask for something a little different.
So Ricky, do you do that full time, or do you have another job?
Actually, I work for GE Aviation in West Jefferson. I'm a machinist, but my wife has worked for the schools so that we have somebody to get my daughter to school, and she has got on at GE Aviation. So I'm looking for maybe by July for the bee business and the hive business to be my full-time job. That's my ideal if it'll happen for us. But the Lord's led us that way, and I've been a little resistant, but we dug the hole this year, so we're ready to go with it. So it's going to happen now.
I was going to say that's got to be the maximum amount of workload. You got a job and your business is taking off. Wow, that's a tough one. It's a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really good problem to have. We just kind of fell down that rabbit hole, and here we are. I mean, Joey, he builds some beautiful hives. He could have been the man making them and selling them. I don't know. God put us there, and that's what we're doing right now. So
I'm not a carpenter. I can't build nothing.
Joey's like me. But we take so much time building stuff for ourselves that we never make money trying to build for somebody else.
I'm an electrician by trade. It's 1 wire, hook it up, 2 wire, screw it up, 3 wire, go to the house.
Well, hello, Hannah. I'm glad you joined us.
I was not expecting to be on screen tonight.
Look at that dog.
Oh, you're just as pretty as ever.
Yeah.
Not as pretty as Jeff. Look at him posing up there.
Jealous.
He is a poser.
He does pose. You're absolutely right, Philip. He does pose.
Man. He is a superstar.
He has that look like,
what are you doing in my suit? He's like, see, I told you I could talk. He knows exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to ignore it. Maybe they'll quit. He's a dork. Like, she is a dork and a half, but he keeps life interesting. Yeah, DC, they pretty much are all Jasper's chairs. He just lets me sit in one occasionally.
You can't even get up and go to the kitchen without him flying up in one of your spots.
I love how he sits up so proud. His chest is all stuck out. Like, I'm the man.
It's like he's a person. Even when he's got the chair to himself, he's sitting up like that.
Yeah.
It's like, why is everybody talking about me?
Everybody's picking on me.
We'll try to get him one day when he's been getting in trouble lately, tearing up every single thing he can get his mouth on. And we figured the best way correcting him is to shame him. And it's been working pretty good, so we're going to have to get a shot of that with him.
Y'all seen them little things they put together like on YouTube and Facebook, but like they'll make the dog hold the sign saying what they did, and they got the shameful look on their face. He could stop in one of those. He will tell on himself in a heartbeat with the look on his face. He's a nut.
Spanky, are you feeling better, brother? Been a little while.
No, I still get migraines.
Still dealing with them, huh?
Yeah.
Mercy.
I think the last time I was down at Spanky's house a couple of weeks ago, his mom had a really bad headache. She's been having some headaches too. Is that right, Spanky?
Yeah.
Some things are hard to deal with. I've seen people really, really struggle with migraines.
Well, Ricky, we gonna go ahead.
I think Spanky's him and his mom's made some fused honey for the conference. I hope you don't mind me mentioning that, Spanky, but we're going to be selling that in our booth. So if anybody's there, come by and get some of that. If you don't know, he makes some really hot honey. Is that right, Lee, man?
Let me ask you this: for the ones of you that's had it, is it above pepper jelly for spice?
I think so, because I was hot for a long time.
Long time, okay.
Look,
And I love hot food and that, especially, my wife's Hispanic, so, she's always making things spicy, but it was hot, and I didn't want Spanky to know. I'm like, man, I need some water really bad,
Lee ain't tried that one. He's tried the milder ones.
Yeah, it's hot. So,
Brother, we'll support you anyway, but we out on that one, Spanky.
How many flavors do you have, Spanky? How many flavors you guys gonna be sending?
Let's see. We've got the hot one, strawberry, blueberry. She's got apple pie or apple, something like that. Vanilla. I've got 3 different smoked woods of apple, hickory, and oak. And I'm trying to think on what else she's got.
You got all kind of flavors.
Orange pineapple twist. Yeah, we got a bunch of different ones.
And this is just infused honey, not no cream honey?
No, it's not creamed.
All right.
Pretty cool.
Steve asked Spanky, what peppers are you using?
I use all different kinds of super hot. I couldn't tell you what all peppers are in that. That's to tell me different ones I use.
Now, if you guys go to the conference and you don't see any of that honey there, that fused honey, the pepper might be there, but I might take the rest of that, so you may not see any of it there.
I'll be right back.
And she found some lavender jars, so we'll be sending some lavender down there.
Spanky, in the short, we just kind of curious, in the short version, how are you infusing that?
Which one?
Yeah, I mean, your berry flavors, we'll say, like your blueberries and stuff. Is it a powder mix you putting in there, or?
No, it's the berries.
Oh, so
You
you're
said
doing
some of it's been sitting there for a couple of years. Is that right, Spanky?
Yeah, at this point, they've probably been sitting about 3 years.
Wow.
Can't get no more infused than that right there.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah,
Do
aging it.
you do anything with garlic?
I haven't tried anything with garlic.
Well, that honey, it'll stay good, won't it?
Oh yeah, it's still good. Yeah, it ain't crystallized or anything.
Yeah, honey won't, bacteria won't grow in honey. So, Spanky, how many colonies are you running?
Right now I've got 2, and I'm hoping to get them to expand into making some honey this coming year. Yeah, they spent this current year drawing out comb because they were swarms we caught. So I'm hoping they'll draw out some actual honeycomb.
When did you get back on a couple colonies, Spanky?
I had my last one die out the year before, and then this year I had 2 move in.
Okay. So you had a couple swarms move in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty nice bees. They get a little aggravated at the ants bugging them, but
Well, Ricky, y'all pretty well ready for your show?
No, Tim, we're way behind.
So, no.
So far behind. I was telling Joe before we got on the air that we have a lot of people asking us to build stuff that we normally don't build. And I say, oh, that'll be easy to build. It'll be quick. And here, I've spent all day working on that one little project instead of working on getting some other stuff assembled or getting the lumber that the guys need to cut. So I showed them probably before you come on here that we'd actually made this for the show. Let's see, it's a little 1-frame observation hive. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, Flower Street Farm. Brian, he had us to make that. We're going to sell that at the Bee Expo in the auction. So we built it, and he paid a little money on it, and we'll donate that. So we made him one also. I won't spoil it for him. I won't show that, but we made one for him and put his logo on there and made it really nice. So, but it's little projects like that continue to get me behind, and everybody's like, hey, we need this or we need that. And, we'll get there. We'll get it done one way or the other. And we'll get the orders that people wanted. Hives have already pre-ordered. We're taking 15 hives that are already pre-ordered, and we'll definitely have those, but we hope to have about 40 there if everything goes good. Hey, Ronnie, it's good to have you on here.
I've got a question, Ricky. I want to ask Spanky if he wants to answer it.
Sure.
I'm talking about your migraines, Spanky. You were diagnosed with migraines?
I've been going to a neurologist for a good while now.
Okay.
We've been trying different medications.
I was diagnosed with migraines about 15 years ago. I dealt with them when I was younger, and they were just called headaches, bad headaches. I'd get sick. And then I kind of grew out of it. And when I got around 40, they started hitting me again. And I went to a doctor, and he diagnosed me. Matter of fact, 2 years prior to that, my oldest son was diagnosed with migraines. But my doctor prescribed me Imitrex. You ever heard of it?
I don't know if I have or not. They threw so many different ones at me.
It's Imitrex, Imitrex. If I get a bad enough headache, it will put me down. I don't want nobody to ask me a question. Don't ask me how I'm doing. Just please don't talk to me. I can't sit down. I can't lay down. I can't stand up. It's that bad. But I can take one of them with one leaf, and within 45 minutes, my migraine is gone. Now, after I took this Imitrex and that leave, I felt like I've been wrestling a bear as far as tired, but I don't have a headache no more. And that doctor really helped me with that. And if you ever talk to your doctor again, if you want to, ask him about Imitrex. Now, it may be something you can't take because everybody can't take it. But I'd rather feel a little tired than I would have a bad headache. That's just the worst feeling in the world, dealing with it. If anybody's ever had a real migraine, I've seen people run around work and say, oh, I got a migraine. if you got a real migraine, you ain't running around working. You sick at home.
Oh no, I go to work whenever they last the whole week. I would rather get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, ever since
I just thought I'd give you a shot with that and see if you ever had it.
ever since I got that COVID, it made them worse.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now I get the stomach problems and the head problems whenever I get one.
Yeah, I've never had them debilitating, but I have. I can tell when mine's coming on because of those light flashes.
Yeah.
You get that.
Things will start.
Yeah.
Sometimes things will start smelling different.
Yeah. I head to the ibuprofen as soon as I see those light flashes because I know in 20 minutes I'm going to be in bad shape.
Yeah.
But I hadn't had any that made me throw up or anything. But I've had them made me where I can't, if you can't see your computer screen, I can't work. I can't see the computer screen.
Yeah, I don't want to be vomiting.
Experienced them.
All right, back to bees.
Back to bees, yeah, back to better stuff.
When are you guys going to start ramping up your bees in the springtime?
That's a good question. Joey's
Around me, it's usually around the 1st of March.
Yes, sir. Same here.
That's about the first I can peek into them, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm like you, Bryce. It's about April for us before we actually get in there and really get to thinking about doing some splits and stuff. Late April we finally start seeing our swarms. And I'm sure Joe and him's already had swarms by then.
Well, around me, it's usually around the 2nd week of March when you start seeing them around me. Now, just 1 hour south of me where Jeff lives, Jeff Hartshaw, he's already getting swarms 2 weeks ahead of me. It's amazing how 1 hour drive south, it makes that much difference.
Yeah, and I'm 2 weeks behind you, Joey, I think.
Yeah.
I'll start seeing a swarm or two 1st of April, but then middle of April, all hell will break loose.
Yes.
I'll get as many as I can catch.
It's
not
late,
just mine; it's bees in the area.
It's late May, early June up here.
Wow, our season's nearly over by then. we're just hoping for a rain in June to keep it going a little longer.
And I'm sure y'all heard Mike talk about this, Mike Berry. Us in March, we'll start getting that good early fall, early spring flow coming in, and the bees will start rolling. And here they go, man. They starting to lay and making brood, and pollen coming in, nectar coming in, and then we get it's like a false spring. Everything will shut down for about another week or two. And if you're not careful in that week or two, your bees will starve to death here because they got so much brood starting to emerge. They'll eat everything in the hive. It'll be plumb empty. So we have to really be careful about that around here. And if you try to overfeed them, you're gonna have swarms during that time.
Yeah, during that the Lance hive, I ran a Lance hive last year. I didn't run one this year. It was in my bee yard. Just never got a chance to work it. But it just allows the brood to have that nice pattern, but a full circle with honey all the way around it. So the bees are not really having to move frame to frame to frame. It's, overseas, the Lance hive is really big for cold weather. And even they do like a double deep even there in some of the locations, like Ukraine, they'll do a double deep for the cold weather they have there. And again, it has that big brood pattern, but their winters last like almost 6-7 months sometimes there. So those bees really have to not move a whole lot of distance to find that honey. So the Lance hive is a little bit better for cold weather.
If you look at if you winter your bees on a deep and a medium, if you look at a regular laying frame, the depth is the same. So your cluster would have the same amount of honey above it if it traveled up. The frames are narrower on the lay-ins,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
but they're deeper. So the depth is about the same as a deep and a medium.
Yeah, and I'm playing around with the Bryce. I'm playing around with thing. I call it a Texas deep, but it's the same format that like the Bug Farmer and Vino Farms, and that's a combination of a deep and a medium.
So
But
you just attach the two frames together?
No, I'm actually just building my own frames, and I'm building them to that size. So, and I'm even building boxes to handle those because I build all my own equipment.
Yep.
But the thing is, you can take a deep and a medium box, and you can still, if you could build those frames, you can use them in a deep and a medium. And I actually have a couple because I didn't build enough boxes to put that in. The thing I'm running into is you got to have them damn things dead level, or they're going to cross comb. Because I don't use the plastic. I let mine. I do starter strip.
Yeah.
So
you definitely got to have everything level and plumb. That's for sure.
Yeah, or you get a real mess on your hands if you don't.
Yeah, Philip, that's what I had with my hive the first year. My Lance hive, it wasn't quite level, and man, they kept cross combing. I kept cutting it, trying to get it fixed and re-level the hive, and it still wasn't right. And, then I finally put some feed on them late. I guess it was probably about August, and instead of them, putting honey in that comb, they actually tried to build more comb again and didn't lay anything up for winter. And I didn't go in and check them before winter started, and they just died out on me. So you're right. You got to really keep them. It's got to be level. It's really, really level.
But I like the concept of being able to just pull the frames out and look at them and put them back in rather than having to pull boxes apart. That's and that's sort of the whole concept of the horizontal hive, obviously. But
what about extracting them big old frames?
no, I don't. It's all brood for me.
I got you.
Okay. I'm a regular layings guy, so and I run that, or at least I did run that 1.5 system that Bryce was talking about, and I just finally decided what would happen if I just did it all on one frame and not do just a 1.5. And it's just something I'm playing around with. I did it. I tried to do it 2 years ago, but we had such a bad year. I only had one colony late that got into it. And now I'm up to about 5 or 6 colonies that I can start to really evaluate it. But it's a whole new format. So it's once you start it's not scalable unless that's really what you want to do. So,
I got into I made my frames 2 inches deeper than Dr. Leo's 16-inch deep frames. So mine are 18 inches deep.
oh, wow.
And it's the biggest, tallest frame that'll fit in I have an SAF regatta extractor, and it'll take the Layens frames and it'll take, Langstroth frames. I was wondering about those double deep frames, whether you were, those are dedicated brood frames then.
Yeah, that's the double deep frames. That's called a Lazutin frame, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you would they fit in an extractor if you say you had a dead out and it was the outside of your box or something, or
a Lazutin? I don't think, for sure, not a Lazutin. It's hard. I mean, there's some people starting to sell extractors for layings frame that aren't too expensive. I noticed that. I'm buying I can't think of the name of them. I'm buying an extractor from them this year.
I think Dadent makes one it's just a large barrel and it's got a different cage in it.
Yeah.
Miller's Bee Supply around here does it.
That's where I got mine.
I'm drawing
from
a blank.
Miller's.
It's Peerco and the place out of New York.
Better be?
Yeah, better be. What is that? I think they're made in Poland or something. Those extractors are.
Oh, I can't remember what those are.
Yeah, but they're selling one that's it'll handle
The
lay-ins and
lay-ins.
deep frames. But yeah, but I'm not trying to get honey out of the frames that I'm doing. I'm just trying to see if, because I'm a little bit like Joey, I'm a little bit of a lazy beekeeper, so I'm trying to. Because I tell you what, doing single deeps is a lot of work. You know, doing singles, you got to stay on top of them. I am doing some of that because I finally got tired of not getting honey. You do get a lot more honey out of running singles. So.
But those double deep frames, some people have it where you can slide those two frames apart and you extract that way.
I've seen that. Some
Yeah, there was a guy that had a young guy that did some
Strout
really
or
nice.
something.
Yeah, that's right, Strout. He had some really neat things, but you know, like a lot of young people, probably like I was at his age, you know, he's good for about a year or two of one project, and then he's off to another one. So,
yep.
Yeah, he's probably building aerospace stuff now.
Yeah, he's building rockets. That's probably right. But yeah, I got real excited when I started looking at his stuff. But yeah,
I kind of, you know, I'm still new at it, but a lot of the, you know, up here people don't have real big hives, and I kind of like the interchangeable frame idea, you know, but I'm not prepared to go. It seems like going 3 mediums to winter over. It seems like a lot of breaks in the frames for the bees to have to go through.
yeah, Charlie does that.
3 mediums.
Yeah, Charlie, Sawmill Charlie, and so does Nathan at Duck River Honey does that too. I think that's a good idea, but that's the total opposite of what I'm trying to do, which is keep from having to look through so many boxes.
Yeah, me too. Although I'm getting partial to the nukes, the 5-frame nukes. They're kind of fun.
Yeah, they're easy.
Yeah.
They're easy, but they're also swarm machines, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I learned that too. So that was part of my swarming experience this summer.
Yeah.
But
they grow fast in nukes. If you've got them stackable nukes, you can make them grow in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they do grow quick around. So
it seems like you ought to have like a, you know how the computer guys have those rack systems where you slide in components. You need a rack system for those 5-frame nukes where you just keep going up and up and up. And you also need a ladder you can climb to get to them.
I don't know if I do that.
We're on here to talk about horizontal hives, and now we've already gone to what we call vertical hives.
Hey, we're going to talk about anything we want to right now. It don't make a difference. We're just talking.
Well, I got up to 3 deeps on my 5-frame nukes this summer, but they didn't fill up the 3rd box.
Yeah. I run a little bit different than a lot of people do. I run single 10 frames. And then I put queen excluder on them. Then I put a deep on top of that. And then I hope to put 2 mediums on. Most of the time it's only 1 medium. But if I get 2 mediums, I'm doing really good. And I run 27 hives like that. And then I got three horizontal hives, one of Ricky's and 2 of them, 2 big ones that I made out of shipping crates.
How is those big ones doing, Tom?
What's that?
How is your big horizontals that you made? How are they doing, the ones you made?
Well, they're doing good. Yeah, they're huge. They're 92 inches long, and they can hold 100. They can hold 100 frames.
Oh.
So Tom, when you pick up that,
yeah, I got bees in both of them, and they're doing good. I did run into one issue. I had one of them. I had 22 4-frame queen castles in them, and I put virgins in each cells in each one of them. and every other one didn't have a queen about because they were piping and they could hear each other. So the other one side thought they had a queen. 'Cause so I changed that out a little bit just this year. I'm only going to have 12 in it now, so I'm making it 4 frames
12,
all
only
the way
12.
across.
You're only going to have 12. So
But I was not
Oh, man.
anticipating the piping to be an issue.
so
Oh,
Tom,
wow.
I wouldn't have thought it would have
What was that?
That's pretty fast.
been. I said I wouldn't have thought it would have been.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me. But it was pretty consistent this year, every other one. The only exception was the ones
let
on
me
the
see if
end.
I can. That's my dog barking. I got to see what he's after.
Feel like
Tom,
one of
where-
our.
Tom, where are you at?
I'm in Southwest Ohio.
Okay. So what's your zone there?
6B, I think.
Yep. Okay. And you're
So-
running those horizontals are Langstroth?
Yeah,
frames? Okay.
yeah. The ones I built, I have 3-inch insulation all the way around them. So that helps a lot.
Do you have
And I got one of Ricky's.
Do you have much room underneath the frames to the bottom of the hive?
I run 3/8 of an inch between my bottoms and my frames. I don't want any people have to scrape out dead bees after this winter time. I don't have to do that because they pull them all out for me because it's only 3/8. Gets in their way and they move them out.
Do they keep the bottom of the hive cleaner that way, Tom? Because I noticed, like my hives, they have like 3/4, and they're bad to leave a lot of debris and trash across the bottom of that hive.
Yeah, it'll be spotless. Well, not spotless, but there won't be anything. There won't be any debris on it.
Wow.
Yeah, I go 3/8 on all my gaps everywhere. No more than 3/8.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot. Yeah, I run solid bottom boards and I flip them upside down. So I use the 3/8 bottom side, and that helps a lot. So yeah, I don't have to, and I run singles, and I don't have to flip boxes or anything like that. Single brood management. And the reason I put another deep on top, occasionally I'll have to take a couple brood frames out in April and May maybe, and then move them up to the top to keep them from swarming. So, and I replace my queens every year too. I sell the previous queen and my nukes and put new queens in. So,
How many queens you sell in a year, Tom?
what's that?
How many queens you sell in a year? Or nukes? You sell nukes or queens or both?
I can sell as many. I can sell up to 60 if I could produce 60 of them, but I sell about 20. And I probably sell maybe 10 queens, 15 queens. It varies. But I have a guy that right now that wants me to sell him 60 nukes every year. So I just learned that this past month. So I might be getting more into the nuke business versus the honey business.
There you go.
He doesn't want to sell them out of his yard anymore. So I'm going to produce as many as I can and give them to him. And he's going to sell them because he doesn't, he's a 3rd-generation beekeeper. So he doesn't even have to advertise it. And people just show up wanting to buy nukes from him.
He's got the contacts.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my mentor too.
Leave about 3/4 on all my hives at the bottom. Depending on the lumber that we get can vary it just a little bit. We don't try to get down no lower than 1/2 inch. And then we have had one, I think my first one I built was maybe 1.25 inches or something like that, because listened to Frederick Dunn, and he'd said that the space below really didn't make that much of a difference. And when that hive got on out to the outside frames, they actually did seal them all the way to the floor of the hive. So I don't ever make them over 3/4 at the bottom of that hive.
Right. I took all your frames out in mine and I put a 1/2 inch board on the bottom of it just to make it 3/8 or close to it. So I modified it just a little bit.
Hey, that's fine. You actually taught me something new tonight. I didn't ever think about going down to 3/8 and then keeping the bottom of the hive clean. That entrance, and that's something I want to talk about. Randy, the dirt rooster, when he comes on here in about 2 weeks, I want to talk to him about how big does that entrance really need to be, and it doesn't need to be as big as most of us thinks it needs to be. I know Joey talked about it earlier on the live stream that it doesn't have to be that big. The cutouts that I've done in the last 2 years, probably 3 inches by 3 inches, about the biggest entrance I've seen that the bees actually have. So I just don't think they need that huge entrance.
I run 2 inches by 3/8 high on all my hives, and that's it. And I don't change it all year round.
Right. I want to do a little bit of Amber likes to do science projects and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how much smoke to make in each of these, maybe 2 hives with a clear top on it, and put a vacuum up to each one of those hives and suck out the smoke and see which one the smoke comes out quicker. I'd almost say the one with the smaller entrance will probably suck out more air than the one with the bigger entrance. But I'd like to do a little science project on it and see.
Yeah, because those bees will line up across that 2 inches and on the sides and upside down underneath it. And they definitely get a flow going through there
Yep.
in the summertime. Yeah, that's I would think the smaller opening would do better.
Yeah, because you're getting a better suction out that smaller hole.
Right. And I do it mostly because I don't have to worry about yellow jackets and other stuff getting in is likely. And then actually robbing. I do another little trick on my hives that I learned from over in England is that I use actually a chainsaw case, the casing that goes over the bar, and I cut 2 pieces out of it and I cut the tip off, and that's my entrance into the hive. And the bees actually have to go through the casing into the center of the hive and then come up to the hive. And I get no robbing from my hives, or very little robbing, because the bees that want to rob it out have to go right into the center of the hive. And if I try to get a yellow jacket in there or anything else, the same thing happens. Yellow jacket goes in and never comes out.
Now, is that like the hive gate, the blue hive gate that Frederick Dunn was talking about, where that goes in the center of the hive and comes up? Is that the same scenario?
Yeah, very similar to that. I just use a chainsaw case to make my own.
Awesome.
That's where I get my 2 inches or so approximately also, because the center of the chainsaw is usually closed, so I get like an inch on each side. So I have 2 1-inch openings basically. I need to do a YouTube on that.
Yeah, you do.
So I do things. I'm an engineer, so I like to design things a little differently. It's in my blood.
Well, I definitely like to design things and try stuff out, but some of the things I try a lot of times don't work.
Well, some of them don't. Then I have to modify them.
Yeah.
On my laying hives, I left a significant amount of space underneath, 2 inches or more.
Wow.
And I got that idea because I was reading the book that Beekeeping with a Smile.
Yep, Dr. Leo Serskin.
Yeah, the one that he translated from Fyodor Lazutin. And if you go back into the back notes where he goes back and says what he might do differently. He kind of explored the idea of more room underneath the hive, underneath the frames, and so that's what kind of gave me the idea. And I think he was thinking more thermodynamics in the hive, and having a lot of room under there for wintering. It might be more important in a wintering type situation, where that could be like the cold well down there, and you'd have the heat bubble up on top, provided you didn't have any kind of ventilation taking the heat out that way.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the advantage of the horizontal, is because that brood nest is usually right at the top of the cover. As it's going across, it's already got to that top spot. So, you don't have a hive that is below the honey and it freezes, gets cold, and then unthaws and drips down on your bees, and then they're soaking wet and they die. So that's the advantage of a horizontal there with that same scenario.
So, Bryce, how much space are you putting?
Yeah, you'll find out on your bottom board, if you got 3/4 of an inch gap, you have these little pillars all over on your bottom board. And basically those are all bridges of the bees getting up to your frame. On my 3/8 one, I don't have those pillars on my bottom board, or whatever you want to call them, little columns, because they don't need a bridge to get up to the frames.
Philip, your mic.
Gentlemen, our phone's fixing to die. I didn't mean to cut anybody off. We just didn't want to drop out and be like, what have you. But
It's fixing to die.
yes, we enjoyed it, Ricky. Thank you for letting us have it in, gentlemen.
Yeah, good to see
Thanks
you.
for coming on, being with us.
We'll do
Talk to
it.
y'all
Y'all take
soon.
care.
God bless.
All right, take care.
All right. Good night. So what did you say, Joey? My mic's low?
Your mic's low.
Sounds like you're about 10 feet from it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I'm ready for spring now. I'm ready for the next season.
No, it's
Yeah.
just started. I'm waiting to go skiing.
Yeah, we don't have that where I live. We don't get enough snow. We don't have big enough hills.
Well, I'm just going cross country skiing out my back door when there's enough snow.
Right.
I used to work up in the
You-
ski mountains. I worked up there for years, but I moved too far away. It's a 45-minute drive, and that's too far.
Right.
Especially
We
when you
used to
got to
get a lot
go.
of snow, but not anymore.
I used to groom trails, cross country trails up in the national forest, and it was, you'd end up driving up there in the middle of the night, to wait until the last 45 minutes of the storm, and then get there just when it stops and go out there and pack it all down. And I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's too far away. If I could go skiing from my back door, I'd do that. Philip, you were
Yeah,
asking
MKY had a good post there.
what's that?
About humidity and temperature. Yeah, I do the same thing on 3 of my hives. I monitor
Yeah, my
humidity
question,
more than anything.
am I still far away? Can you guys hear me?
Still far away.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna check these. This is my new headset here.
So,
Yeah, I
Ricky,
don't know.
how's everything with you?
We're busy, Tom. Extremely busy. Trying to get ready for that conference
What?
to see you and so many other people.
Yeah, that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say I'd rather just be a backyard beekeeper and have 30 some hives and be happy about it, and not,
Right.
I think sometimes I want 100, like Joey was talking about earlier today, and then I say, no, I can't handle that many more beehives.
I don't know how people do it.
I work full time, and I run 40 plus hives plus, You know, I got 17 queen castle nukes out of horizontals
Uh-huh.
and sell, 20 or 30 nukes and 1,000, 15,000 pounds. I mean,
When I got
1,000 to
a
1,500 pounds of honey.
Mm.
And
Tom, when I
I'm
got under
busy.
45 hives, they were running me instead of me running them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I need is a couple more helpers. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't for Ruth. Ruth did most of the beekeeping this year at the house. So I didn't do as much beekeeping this year. If it wasn't for her, it really would have been tough. But we mentored 12 people this year also. So they kept some of our hives this year. So that did make it a whole lot easier for us also.
I'll be honest now. If I would leave that camera sitting at the house, I video a lot of my stuff that don't ever make the cut. But if I'd leave the camera at the house, I could run through some hives pretty quick.
Right.
All I got to do is see my
Yeah.
first food and get out. A lot of times
Right.
for the video's sake, I want to go a little bit farther and see if something happens,
Yeah. That's why my content has really, I don't have many content on YouTube because working full time and then almost having a full time hobby.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then doing this on Tuesdays and Thursdays and different nights takes up a lot of time.
Yes, it does.
Well, I've got now where when somebody goes live, I'll get on there and just listen to them. I'll still be busy in the room doing something.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. I need to move my computer down to the bottling room so I can be bottling at the same time
Yeah. Mine's right there.
and labeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I listen to Bob
Yeah.
and Lee. I mean, most Tuesday nights, and we get into church late, and I get to listen to Greg and them for a little bit before it's they get off air, and Tim and Hannah some on Sundays. But I'm always in the workshop, listening and working on hives, and I sometimes I comment, sometimes I just like to listen because you learn a lot by listening
Right.
too. So.
Yeah.
That's like here. I got home. I ran out to my barn. I moved all my boxes out of my honey room because I'm making it 3 times bigger because I need to. And then I came in here. Just run.
Can you guys hear me better on this microphone?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wait a second.
You're good now.
It's funny y'all talking about that because I just got these Bluetooth headsets and I was thinking what Ricky, that's what I'm doing. I'm listening and walking around and doing stuff and building stuff and filling bottles and all that stuff.
It was work.
Right.
Whatever you had was working good until it just kind of like shut off.
I can't understand that. I don't know what happened. I'll have to start it off fresh and see if it works again. But I don't know. But yeah, we're tethered now.
Yeah.
Now, Philip, if I'm not mistaken, I watched a video with you. It was at least a couple of years ago. And who was you on with? Was you on with Bob and Lee when you was showing some of your stuff?
Yeah, probably.
I remember some of it.
I probably was. I did some giveaways probably with them.
Okay.
That's kind of how I got. The first lives I ever went on was with those hillbilly beekeepers.
Okay.
Yeah, Earl and
That's what it was. Yeah.
and then
Houston.
Yeah, in Houston, and they kind of went off. I guess I killed that show because I went on a couple times, and then they quit.
Oh.
So then I switched over and started going on with Lee and Bob a little bit, and they helped me out. We did a little giveaway, a little honey giveaway, and some boxes, which is what I should be working on right now instead of talking to you guys. But I feel better since Ricky said he's skipping his work to do this. So I said, well, we're all just bad influences on each other.
That's right.
But
Well, that one video, Philip, that you did, I think you did that one this year, drying that honey.
oh yeah,
That was a good video. I shared
Very
that
good
with
video.
a lot of
I was kind of in a panic when that happened to me.
I shared that with every group I'm in, every Facebook group.
that was a struggle, and you know, I had the solution. I first thing I did was like everybody does. I went and searched for what other people had done, and the one that I ended up having to use was the one I was like, oh, I don't want to have to do that. That's just too much trouble. But yeah, putting the honey in those cake pans and putting it in a closet with low
Yeah.
humidity, that did it in a hurry. So I, you know, I finally I played around doing other kinds of stuff, and I figured out maybe it would work, but it was going to take you know, weeks, and I didn't want to have to go through that. So luckily, that was only for the first honey pool of that spring. I did a later honey pool, and it wasn't as wet like that. But that was capped honey that was 19.5, 20%. So
What was the weather like when you pulled it?
the weather was, you know, it was humid, but it wasn't rainy or anything like that. It was just such a wet spring that, you know, when the grass is holding all the moisture and every night it's hitting the dew point because it's still spring and the temperature's dropping, it never really dries out. And that's kind of how it was when I made that first pull. Was just, it wasn't, there was a lot of rain. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but it wasn't like it wasn't raining in the 3 or 4 days before I pulled it. But it, like I said, it may have been capped when it was like that though, Joey.
Yeah.
And here's what I did. I was wanting to pull the frames so I could put them back on because I don't have a whole lot of drawn comb. So I very carefully went through and pulled out only the capped frames. I didn't pull out any open frames. Well, that was actually made my problem worse because I'd listened to everybody else. If it's capped, it's ready, right? Isn't that what everybody says? That was just the opposite. My frames that weren't capped were drier than my frames that were capped because it trapped all that moisture in it early in the spring.
Well, look, I remember Mr. Julian. Before he died, he used to talk about that all the time, pulling frames out, even if they were capped. If it was real humid, he said those cappings will wick that moisture just like a sponge.
Really?
He used to say that all the time.
All right, I'm going to sign off. I get up early in the morning.
But
all right, Tom, thanks for coming on, bro.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on.
Good talking to you.
Good night, everybody.
One thing I learned from that, Joey, is after you've harvested just a little bit of honey, when I cut those cappings off and that honey just ran out of there almost like water, I knew I was in trouble. I mean, I didn't have to test it. It's just when I cut those cappings off and the way it came running out of there, I was like, something's not right here. Now
I wonder if that was a certain nectar caused that too.
It may have been, but that honey is fantastic. I got to figure out how to enter it in the contest when I go up to Nobby because it's wonderful. I was telling a story that the whole family was tired. The way I sell my honey is I'll take it and I'll bottle it and I don't mix it all together. I like early spring, middle of the summer, fall, whatever it is, and I like to have people taste it and see the differences, you know. So I was doing that with this family, and this little girl, she's probably 10 or 12 years old. She tasted that honey that we're talking about, and she goes, "Oh, that tastes like Manuka honey." Oh. And I looked over at my daughter. I said, "Raise the price on that stuff." Because it's got a really unique flavor. I'm going to bring, you guys get to me, I'm going to bring a dozen little jars of it. We'll do a little honey swap if y'all want to. But yeah, it was really good, but it was a pain in the ass to get it dried down right.
I told y'all it was 52 a while ago. Temperature's dropping. It's 51 now. They said the feel like is 49.
I was checking that when y'all were talking, and mine was 50. It was 59.
Yeah.
Let's see what it says now. I don't think it's changed. Yeah, it's still 59 here.
Look, the coldest this old southern boy had ever been when I was working in New York City. It stayed below 10 degrees for 3 weeks.
Woo.
I was
Dude.
ready. I know that ain't cold to some of y'all, but I was
That's
ready for the weather to warm up.
Well, it's not as cold as it used to be, that's for sure. I remember back in the 80s, I was in college. I came up to this area and there was I mean, it was common for it to be below zero for a week or two. It would never get above zero. And now we no daytime temperatures will stay below zero in the last at least 10, probably 12 years.
Yeah.
And so really huge difference as far as what's happening here. I mean, it's a lot better for me because I heat my house with firewood, so I don't have to
Yep.
carry as much firewood. But it's it's definitely a lot warmer. But it's 24 degrees up here right now.
really wow. That's cold.
It got down to I think the coldest it's gotten this year so far this fall is 14.
When it Joey could probably agree with this. When it gets down in the 20s here, the grocery stores get bought out because everybody just it's a it's a panic.
Yep. No milk, no toilet paper, no
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. Everybody's hunkering down.
Yeah. Anything can leaves the shelf.
That's
Everybody,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
we've
I
always
remember.
tried to stay stocked up here at home. Every day should be emergency. Every day. So we always try to keep our cabinets full of canned food for that reason.
They get the milk and bread here. I guess they're making them some soggy sandwiches.
Yeah.
We can get just snow flurries here and it'll shut traffic down.
That's right.
People be sliding off the road everywhere.
Well, when I was a kid, we lived down in. My dad was in the Air Force, and we lived down in England Air Force Base, which was now Alexandria International, down there in Louisiana. And it snowed 1.5 inches, and it shut the base down for 2 days. And we had come from up here in New Hampshire, and just couldn't believe that little bit of snow had shut the
Yep.
whole base down.
Yep.
But if you're not prepared for it, gee whiz, it doesn't take much to send your car off
Yeah.
the side of the road. That's for sure.
Yep. We don't have snow plows. We don't have salt.
Yeah.
That's driving across the country. That's one thing that I really notice. You can tell about different places if you look around and you look in the people's driveway and see if they got an old plow truck. Then you know that people get snow there or used to get snow there, and everybody here has plow trucks.
Wow.
But
I kind of got used to all that the 3 years I was up in New York where you knew where to park and where not to park.
oh yeah,
What's-
you get plowed in.
I bet it's not cold up there where Brian's at all. I bet it's warm up there in Ohio.
Hey, what's that?
I said I bet it's warm up there where Brian's at, Castle Hives, there in Ohio. I bet he's got Florida weather up there.
Yeah. He can get some cold weather comes down there in the flatlands out there.
Yeah.
It really dips down pretty cold. Sometimes where I am, we're on the seaward side of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still 60 miles to the coast, but it definitely influences the cold. So we don't get like the cold that like North Dakota gets. But I mean, sometimes we'll get a blast. Last year we had 23 below zero once, and but it was only overnight. And but the most of the time we get influence from the ocean. A lot of mixed precip here. When it snows, it'll rain as well, and so it gets real nasty.
You do know, Bryce, that they have those quarters, those state quarters. The runner-up for the South Dakota quarter was, at least we're not North Dakota. That was the runner-up for their quarter.
At least we're not North Dakota. Boy, it's pretty wide open country up there, that's for sure. It's pretty amazing. Big country we live in. I've driven across the country several times, and I can't wait. I mean, one of these days I'm going to take a trip down south and visit, like, you know, I want to go see Jeff at the Abbey.
Yeah.
The Abbey looks like such a wonderful place.
Yeah.
What a huge place.
You'll have to stop by me, and we'll both go down there and see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to see you guys. You and Mike and who else did I?
Randy's down that way. Close.
What's that?
Randy's not too far away from him.
Randy. Yeah. I like watching Randy's stuff. I love when he like the old cars, the video he just put out.
Yeah.
I saw just the back of the Chevy Nomad, and I was like, wow, I'm not a Chevy guy, but man, that was a cool car.
So hey, Joey, my sister, this is many, many years ago. I was just a little kid. She married a guy. He was from Shreveport. They were in college, and we had the wedding, and his uncle had come up from and one of his uncles was a priest that came up and married him, and another one of his uncles came up to the wedding, and this guy, he's from Metairie, and he made the mistake, of saying, y'all need to come down and visit me, and we'll go to New Orleans. Well, he doesn't understand when you say something like that. In my family, we were down there in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
Uncle Terry, we went down there, and over and over he'd go, I went up to my nephew's wedding, and I met all these nice people, and I had a little bit to drink, and I said, why don't y'all come down and visit me? And I'll be damned if they didn't do it.
Didn't think they'd really show up. Huh?
Yeah, we showed up. All of us. And so he was real funny. He was a real funny guy. So the morning we left to go back, we were just in North Louisiana. It wasn't that far out of the way. But when we went back, we got ready to go back. He got up and he made us breakfast, and he said, he goes, y'all was so nice to come down here and stay with me for the weekend. He said, I felt like the least I could do was get y'all up and feed you breakfast and get you the hell out of here. That was fun.
Silence.
Well, gee whiz, getting pretty late. I'm gonna have to sign off.
Yeah.
It's nice meeting you guys and talking
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, come back. Randy's going to be on the 28th. You guys come back on. We'll try to do a little chat afterwards if he wants to stick around, and talk to everybody. He probably will a little bit. And Joey, I appreciate you coming on tonight, brother, and tell us your story and talking about your beat stuff. You're like Mike Berry, just a lot of fun to talk to.
So Ricky, if you don't mind, I'm going to try to do a live next Thursday at 7. And it's going to be probably a pretty short one, but I'm going to, I've been raising some money for Hives for Heroes.
Yeah.
We're going to have a drawing for a gift basket I put together.
Mm-hmm.
So if people want to join that just to see who wins that, be good. I think Lee's going to help me put that together too. At least I've been bothering about it. So
be glad to jump on there for a few minutes to be with you guys.
All right. Good night, Bryce.
Night, Bryce.
I'll be there.
Great.
That's a good ending there, Philip.
Yeah. My daughter is dog sitting, and we got a big old dog. It just knocked over something when we walked by.
Well, guys, I'm gonna jump off here. Also, I do appreciate everybody being on, and
Come here,
Phil,
look.
just send me that link or let Lee know, and
Sure.
we'll definitely come on and be with you guys. Thanks, Spanky, for being on tonight, brother.
Yep.
Yep.
See if we can get Luke in here. There he is.
Oh, look at that.
That's Luke. Pick your head up here where I can see you, Luke.
Oh yeah.
He's a good boy.
I'm still after Lee's dog.
Yeah, favor Renee on that one.
I'm gonna work on her. Trust me, Lee. You just wait.
I don't know. He's been hanging around me a lot more lately.
Yeah.
He getting attached.
Yeah, he's a good dog. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
See you guys later.
Good
All
night.
right. I hope everybody has a good night.